God bless your bones, America. I'm your host, the Right Reverend David Clark, and I'm more than happy to come into your home today and to declare the blessings of God in your life. Oh, I have special guests all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dr. Charles Upshur. We're going to hear from him later on in this broadcast today. And we're going to share a melody and share prayer and whatever God has to say through Dr. Upshur will be fine with me. So again, invite your brothers, invite your sisters to this broadcast today where we will be talking about health and wellness and religion. Oh my God, we're just going to have a wonderful time. Let me share this melody with you that means so very much to me. It's been a blessing to me, and I'm sure it will be a blessing to you. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. I'm glad I know. I'm glad I know. I'm glad I know who Jesus is. Thank God for that melody. I'm sure you've heard it before, but it blesses me. And I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that everybody on the face of this earth ought to know who Jesus is. And this program, this broadcast is designed to introduce Jesus to you. For he is the Savior of the world. He is the healer of the nation. And there is no illness, there is no sickness that he cannot deliver you from. I don't care what type of addiction you have. I don't care what type of pain you have. Jesus can set you free. I know he's done it for me, and I know he will do it for you. He'll break the bond of wickedness and the chains of break the chains around your neck of infirmity if you will only receive him and let him come into your heart. Matter of fact, he's knocking at your door right now. Why don't you let him in? For he wants to turn your life around. He wants to transform your life. And he's able to do that by you just accepting and receiving him in your heart today. Well, we thank God for what he's doing. And I don't know about you, but I want to be in the move of God, in the things of God, and all that he's doing. I want to participate. I want to participate in his action and transforming the world. So I believe if you continue to listen to this broadcast, that God will strengthen your heart, that God will encourage your heart, that God will transform your heart. So just enjoy the Lord with me, and we're just going to have a wonderful time in the Lord today. All the way from Pittsburgh. And what I really mean is, for down through the years, my guests have been achieving and receiving wonderful accolades for what God is doing in his life. And he's been doing it for a long time. When I was a young boy, I used to say, who is Charles Upshur? Who is Pastor Upshur? Who is Dr. Upshur? And I would see him on TV. I would hear his voice on the radio, on different channels, on different radio shows. I just said, one day I'm going to get the chance to meet Charles Upshur. And we have been in fellowship for a very long time. And I am so proud, I'm so happy to have him as my special guest today, because he is certainly a pioneer. I mean, he has done so many wonderful things for the Lord. And matter of fact, he's one of the most dynamic evangelists that Pittsburgh has ever had, far as I know. He's been doing amazing things, and one of the things that the Lord burdened on his heart was for Hope for the Attic. He was the first African American who started a halfway house for addicts in Pittsburgh, and that is an achievement. And God began to use him way back there to destroy the works of the devil. See, everybody I know who's involved in the drug, who are addicted to drugs, either they wanted to be addicted or they were tricked to be addicted, but it was the act of the devil trying to destroy their lives. And Pastor Upshur said that he's going to destroy the works of the devil by starting this halfway house and working with those drug addicts until God delivered them and set him free. So he's going to be sharing with us about that. And then Dr. Upshur was responsible for feeding those who are hungry. And I'm talking about the Love Fest. The first time I even heard about a Love Fest or feeding of the hungry was when Dr. Upshur had one of the TV stations to broadcast during the Thanksgiving period how they fed so many people from the Pittsburgh area. And that was a wonderful work. And so I'm just delighted to have this versatility of the Spirit. I mean, this brother, he used to travel around with a play, a drama team, and they used to go to all of the communities in the Pittsburgh area and do their drama. I don't know the name of their drama stories, but I know that they did a drama play all the time in Pittsburgh. So I'm talking about versatility, I'm talking about dynamics, I'm talking about a man who had a spiritual call to do a great work, and God used him. And also his wonderful wife, who we are still grieving, who just left us not too long ago, Dr. Maria Upshur. And we really miss her work, but she did a powerful work in the Pittsburgh area, and God used her tremendously but Dr. Upshur is going to talk about that. And so I am just so happy to have Dr. Upshur in our midst. Welcome to Across the Pastor's Desk.
It's good to be here. It's really good to be here.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to receive you and to have you. Pastor Upshur, when did God call you to ministry? Did he call you to ministry when you were a teenager? Or did he call you to ministry after you graduated from high school?
Well, he called me. Let me start at this point in my life, young life. When I was 15 years old, and my older brother, was 16, 1 year apart, and we put our ages up and joined the Army at that time. And we were not supposed to be separated, but however they ended up separating us. He went to Hawaii, and I went overseas to the Philippines, Okinawa, and Hiroshima on that big boat. And we stayed in service for about, I think it was about a year or so. And then I came back home. And but that experience, remember coming home in that big ship over the ocean and so forth. Came back home, I was still too young to be out of school, so I had to go back. I went back to school. And about a couple of years later, I met my wife, Marie Upshur. She was a charming young lady and she moved to Pittsburgh because one of her brothers lived in Pittsburgh. She was from North Carolina. And so this particular time, not long after I met her, about another year or so, we were married. And I went down to the corner church. There was a church down the corner. I went down there and took her with me, and we were married at this particular church. But however, about I said a year after we were married, we joined another church. It was the Church of God in Christ, and the pastor was Elder P.L. Lockett at the particular time. So we were married there. I mean, we were saved and born again after this church. And from there we went from, from that particular event to stretching out and reaching out to people and so forth. And eventually the Lord called me into the ministry a few years after that. And we both went into the ministry and began to grow in the ministry and evangelize and so forth, until several years later we started our own ministry.
Was that the Hope Institute, or was that the Miracle?
No, the Hope Institute was a project that we took on after seeing a lot of young men who were in drugs, bound by drugs and so forth, and hooked on drugs. We started a halfway house up on Frankstown Avenue. And we took young men, and parents brought their young men to us at that particular time. And we would, help talk with them and have conversations and so forth, and try to get them to see that they were on the wrong course were drugs and so forth. And of course, we had different speakers come in, and we had services there, church services there at the Halfway House. And the Lord blessed us to help a number of them to turn their lives around and start life anew. That was as far as the Halfway House is concerned.
Well, that was a beautiful work, because I've heard about that down through the years and have met people who have been there, and their lives have been transformed, and they go back to I used to go to Charles Upshur. I used to go to Dr. Upshur's. So I know you was doing a wonderful work.
Well, we did our best, and thank God some lives were turned around at that particular time.
Yes. Now, after that, you reached out to a feeding program. Was that Festival of Love?
What we did
Love
also, my wife, she was very, very, stirred as far as the people that would pass by our place and so forth, and she's seen some people on the streets behind me, this sort of thing. So what we did, and it was her idea, we would cook food, get some of the church members to help us cook food, and set up tables on the outside, in certain areas of the city,
right,
where the men would pass by, and we would cook. They would cook good food. The church members, very, very wonderful food and so forth. Anyone would want to eat, and so we would set the tables up, put the food on the tables, and the people would get in line, and we would have the plates out there and so forth, paper plates, and feed the people. And not only that particular area on Center Avenue where we started, but other areas as well in the city, and sometimes they were out of the city of Pittsburgh.
right.
We set up love feasts.
Love feast.
Yes.
Love feast. Love feast. Well, the first time I heard about Love Feast, I saw it on television.
Is that right?
And it was during the Thanksgiving, I think it was Thanksgiving holiday.
I see.
But it was, this was like, I think this was at the convention center.
Yes. Oh, that one.
That was huge.
That one. Yes, we worked with Northway Community Church to on that one. They were the original sponsors, and so we worked with them. They wanted us to work with them and get the people out. So we got people out. It had to be close to over 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That come down to the convention center, where they got good meals and so forth, and perhaps some other items that people could use as well.
Right. You were passing out clothing.
Right.
You were passing out. Matter of fact, at one time you had office supplies.
Right. That's true.
To the community.
Right. And that was sponsored by Northway Christian Community. And we work together to, help those who need help the most, as we say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, those were some wonderful years.
Yes, they were.
And it seemed like they moved fast.
Yes, time goes on. But we kept busy. We had the Halfway House, and we had people coming in and helping them to get their lives straightened out and so forth. We were partially funded by the county and so forth. And with the Halfway House, then we would, like you said, take food out on the street and so forth. And then our main ministry, of course, was evangelism. We would go from community to community and city to city evangelizing, reaching people out where they were.
Now, in the middle of the city, you did a play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the name of that play. You remember the name?
Freddie is Dead, Nino
Freddie
is Dead.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it called? Freddie is Dead?
Freddie is Dead.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Nino was dead.
Nino, that shook up people right there. Matter of fact, that was the first drug drama performance that I've ever seen.
I see.
And you went all around Western Pennsylvania with that.
We did. In fact, we used a real casket also. One of the funeral homes gave us a casket. We used that casket.
Okay.
We did it down Market Square, downtown
yeah.
Pittsburgh as well. And the casket was open. The fellow was laying in the casket and so forth.
Right.
And at a certain point, he would get up and speak and tell the people what a horrible way to die and so forth. Get back in the casket, and then we would go from there. Yeah.
Well, that was an effective work you did downtown Pittsburgh, and I won't ever forget that. But that's why I say he's the most innovative and the most dynamic pastor and evangelist that I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, you're looking at one of Pittsburgh's greatest spiritual leaders, and he opened up doors for a lot of young people now who are doing plays, drug plays, churches who are out there in the street feeding people and giving out clothes. And
something else we gave out also. My wife, she had offices in the Hill House in downtown Clark Building.
What you say?
Yes, oh yes. And she would help young mothers. We would try to help to save babies too. We would get Pampers and so forth and baby food, Similac and so forth like that, and take boxes of it and take them to different communities and set up, a shop and give them to the mothers that had children and babies and so forth.
Right.
So they would have extra food or food enough to feed their babies and so forth.
Absolutely.
We gave out Pampers, Similac.
Now, I never heard of that.
Yes, we did that. My wife.
You were the first. You had to be the first.
Yeah, oh, yes, definitely. My wife, that was her idea and so forth, and she really helped a lot of people, different communities around the city of Pittsburgh.
Right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
She was a go-getter. She was really a worker.
Yes,
indeed.
I know she was responsible for. She came to the prayer breakfast that Melissa Clark was conducting.
Right.
And ministered many times.
Right. That's true.
Now, Doc, you have a passion for health and wellness.
Yes.
Now that just didn't start. You started that a while ago.
Yes.
And I'm talking about before Pat Robertson and before all them guys started doing it on television. You were doing it before that time.
Right. Yes, alternative health. We were really involved in that, helping people to live a longer life on the earth so that they could fulfill their purpose on the earth. And the fact of the matter is, a while back, this was some years back before my wife was called home to be with the Lord, she had contracted cancer of the lungs, and we took her to, because she was sweating all the time and we didn't know what was going on, so we finally took her to the hospital and got her checked out, as one sister told us to do, and found out she had cancer of the lungs. First we took her to Mercy Hospital, but seemed like had too many people, so we couldn't stay around there. Then we took her over to the north side, Allegheny General Hospital. And about 3 or 4 doctors came to us after they examined her and so forth, in the white coats, as my wife used to say, and said, you have cancer of the lungs, and we'll give you 3 or 4 more months to live if you take chemotherapy and radiation. I then spoke up, and I said thanks, but no thanks. And I spoke with the doctors, and we refused to take chemo. I'm not saying that it hasn't helped someone. It has helped, no doubt, a lot of people. However, I checked her out of the hospital, took her to a natural nutritionist, and he gave me the formula to use with my wife and so forth. He gave me a formula that included certain foods and eliminated certain other foods. So I gave her that formula for about 3 weeks or so. Took her back to Allegheny General Hospital to be checked. They gave her an MRI and said, wrote the paper, "You can go home." I said, "You can go home. No cancer." So we brought her home, and I still have that paper.
What you say? Hallelujah.
In my drawer, praise the Lord. So we believe in natural alternative health.
Yes.
A lot of people and are not taking nutrition. Every time they get a pain, they take medicine, see. But a lot of the medicine works against your body instead of working for it. And so, but 2 important things that I want to say here that everyone should make sure that they take, and that is magnesium. Magnesium is a very important nutrient. And also vitamin E, very important for so many different segments of your body. Vitamin E. Now, there's 2 types of vitamin E's. One is the unnatural vitamin E. The other one is natural vitamin E. So when you go to the store, health food store, and ask for vitamin E, let them know you want the natural vitamin E, and so forth. And so I hope someone who's listening can be benefited by what I said.
Well, again, I am so excited. I am so happy to have this icon, Christian icon, in my service or in my midst today. He really has changed the heart of people all over the country. I know that he has mentored many believers, many preachers have birthed out of his work. About 60 now.
Yes, I'd want to say that I am 86 years old.
What you say?
And don't take any kind of medication.
Blessed.
No kind of medication. 60 years old.
Well,
and
again,
still able to walk and talk and think,
Yes.
get around.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
God's been good to me.
Absolutely.
He is good to me.
Absolutely. Well, again, he has mentored preachers down through the years, and many have birthed out of his ministry. And he's been a wonderful role model to this community in the Christian field. And we appreciate his work. So we thank you for listening to this service today, and my prayer is that God will bless your bones. Amen.